So people will come to us and say, like, how can you get us in front of our target audience? And with public relations, we focus on brand awareness and organic. So we do a lot of media relations, meaning that we email journalists and writers and we say, hey, I know that you're the accessories editor of Vogue. I just started working with this amazing handbag company. The next time you're writing a story about laptop bags, here's 5 different options that this company has. Let me know if you want more information. So it's very much where we pitch our clients to media.
What's up, y'all? DFoss back with another LT360 podcast. Today I have a very special guest, as always, but this one's a little closer, right? So this is, I guess, what you would call my future sister-in-law. This is Megan Harris. She is co-founder of the Tropical Agency. Super excited to have her on today. Yes, we are mingling families, but we are also super alike in the fact that she's an entrepreneur. And I'm super excited to just have her on and talk about everything that she's experienced with her own business, taking the leap of faith into business, being a mom, at the same time being in South Florida, the 305, and then obviously being the sister of my amazing girlfriend. So lots to talk about. Super excited. Megan, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm good. That was quite an intro. I guess that means you and my sister are going to get married. No, I think you covered all the bases.
Well, I mean, that's the goal, right? That's the plan. Nothing official yet, obviously, but
no, just the baby coming.
Just the baby, yeah, which is pretty.
That's pretty official.
Yeah. So I always, like we talked about before, I always like to just make sure everyone has an understanding of where the person that is coming onto the platform to talk is coming from, what they went through, who they are, and how that has all led them to where they are now. So you're obviously a couple years older than Amy, right? You have only you two as siblings, right? I know your parents are great, but they're not together. So that obviously has played an effect on your life, right? You have, you're married, you have a daughter, you live in the 305 and you are a business owner. So there's a lot of things that like add up. There's a lot of things that play a factor, but you weren't always a business owner. And you kind of like took this on. So I want to give people the backstory of kind of how you got there. So obviously you grew up in South Florida, right?
That's right.
And you left South Florida to go to Northern Florida for school, correct?
Yeah, I haven't really left the state. So I just went from South Florida to college in Tallahassee. I went to Florida State, which is basically like where everybody who lives in Florida and wants to go out of state but can't. It's like the farthest away you can go without fully being in another state. So I went to Florida State. I studied communications and journalism there. And then I moved to Miami Beach right out of college. I actually was still in school. I had 3 months to go and I finished it with an internship in South Beach. And so I kind of thought Miami Beach was a stopping point on my way to going somewhere else. But as you know, life can do so many crazy things. And I ended up staying and now I'm here. And I sometimes wonder if I'm literally going to live here forever.
Forever. It's not a bad place to live forever.
No, it'd be fine. It'd be fine.
So what, obviously, you and Amy lived close when you made that move to the Miami Beach. What drove you to come back down to Miami Beach though? Was it like because you had communications background and journalism and you wanted to just take that and you knew it's a densely populated area? What drove your decision?
That's a good question. And it's actually kind of funny. It's going to date me by saying this, but it was all just like very random. I didn't know where I was going to go. I needed an internship before I graduated college and I hadn't done one. And it was like, the middle of my spring semester, senior year, and I was looking online and I was just literally looking up when you do communications or television journalism, a lot of times there's this idea or expectation that you're going to be willing to move wherever if there's a job opportunity. That's why, sometimes people, they major in news or, they've been, to become a news reporter, and then they might get, stationed in the middle of nowhere, to work their way up. It's like something that you're willing to do. A lot of careers are like this, putting your time in. So I was just sort of online looking around at internships, and I actually found an internship on Craigslist. This was like when Craigslist was, I guess, still somewhat legit. And there was a TV
Is this
network.
before the Craigslist killer or after?
This was like when you could like safely like find jobs, apartments, maybe even dates. So I only found a job on Craigslist. But it was a TV network in Miami Beach. I was looking for an internship. And so I thought, well, that would be cool. It's close enough to where I live, South Beach, growing up here, who doesn't think Miami Beach is amazing? And so I came down, I interviewed for the internship, and they literally hired me on the spot. And then I was like, okay, I guess I have to figure out how I'm actually going to be here now.
That's awesome. So that just trickled into everything you internship where you like, this is it, I want to continue to do something in this field. And because a lot of people will just like, work their way out or realize, like, I know I personally through internships realized I did not want to work with sports teams, right? So that was like, I do not want to be here at all. So what you obviously ended up becoming pretty successful in the idea of like what you started to have for jobs and titles and who you got to be around. And, obviously 305 has celebrities everywhere. So what did it look like after that first internship? Were you like, that's it, I'm stuck, I like this, I'm going to continue to do this, I'm going to go elsewhere? What did that look like?
Well, I really enjoyed the company that I worked at. It was really fun, and it was all in lifestyle and entertainment. So I was 21. And so I really wasn't sure. I was kind of just going with it and sort of just enjoying the moment and the job and living and, feeling like I was, right out of college. It's like this feeling of, like limitless possibility, right? Like there's anything can happen. You're like finally the adult, and you're going to like figure it out. And so I definitely really leaned into that. And I was at this company for 3.5 years. The company ended up, I had like a lot of real world experiences. The company ended up going out of business. They laid everyone off. It was like a mass layoff. It happened all at once. There was like, I was a smaller mid-sized company. I think there was, maybe 50 people across all of the networks, 50 or so. We all got laid off on a conference call the day after Labor Day. I'll never forget. It was like the Tuesday after Labor Day. So everybody comes in and like we all get laid off at like 9 a.m. on a phone call. So it was very traumatic. I know, but that was really that was the first foray into like networking, really to build my career. And the things that I did after that were all from people that I had met at that first job, and then just connecting with them and really putting myself out there. Like, I lost my job. I don't know what else to do. I've been doing the same thing since college. I don't even know what my other skills are. And networking then led to other opportunities in media. And I kind of went like this. I still feel like I go like this in my career, but have always kind of had the thread of communications there as well.
Yeah. So let's ask you an interesting question. What has been your favorite job in the world of media so far, aside from right now?
Right. Well, no, I wouldn't even say this was my favorite. Honestly,
this is low on the totem pole.
No, this was like not cool. Like I was interviewing celebrities when I was 21. Now I actually like work and have responsibility, and it's scary. I loved my first job. It was a lot of fun. It was very like reporter. I did not make a lot of money. I worked a lot of crazy hours, but I was with a lot of young people. It was a startup. And so it felt really exciting. And we were all kind of working and building something together. So that was really cool. And then since then, being able to do other jobs with bigger networks. I work as a spokesperson. I do a lot in home shopping. I mean, that's pretty amazing too, because then you think about the potential for, viewership or people that might be, watching, whereas you don't think about that. And then you think, wow, like, oh, I'm on a show where millions of people could possibly see it. Like that's pretty exciting too. So I feel as though I'm
What
able to
show?
find something. Yeah.
What shows?
Well, right now I'm a spokesperson on the Home Shopping Network. So I do a lot of like jewelry and watch segments for them. And that's really what I've been doing for the past few years since I started the Tropical Agency, especially because this is my like real career and
Yeah.
full-time job now. And I can kind of use the television work and experience that I have in that job. Basically, I just talk for a living no matter what I'm doing.
Just talk, talk, talk. I hear you.
As you can see, yeah, that you get
yeah.
me.
I had a conversation that was, I don't know, 2 or 3 podcasts ago, and we're like, literally our job is to like talk to people while they exercise, like just finding a way to create conversation, stir something up, say something absurd, talk about how terrible or like exciting your life is, and just make them feel like, oh, I can respond, I can say something.
That's a very valuable thing. I mean, as a trainer, like I've worked with a trainer, like I need you guys talking and distracting me the entire time and putting up with all the things that I'm saying. So it's a very good skill.
No, it is. And I've acquired it. You know, I'm very quiet. I can be very passive and just kind of sit there and not say anything.
Well, that's good. Personally, it's good that you're like that to be in my family.
Learning that quickly. I can definitely just be a fly on the wall, but I've had to learn to be way more assertive as a result. So on this topic, let's talk skill sets. So being in the world of like interviewing celebrities, if we jump back there, what are some of the skill sets that you found really hard to take on, really hard to like cultivate and grow within yourself? And what are other ones that were immediately like present? You didn't have to worry about them. You knew you had, charisma. But what were you kind of like cultivate or felt like you had more room to grow?
That's a great question, because I think we always focus, and it's good to focus on the positive, but I would say that the thing that I needed to work on was being more thoughtful about when I would interview someone or would talk to someone. I'm pretty comfortable chatting with anyone, but I think it's important, if whether you're getting to know someone just personally or you're interviewing someone on a podcast or you're talking to a client, I think it's important to search for a connection and like figure out like what's really going to make an impact in somebody, especially if you're trying to get something out of them. And I mean that in like an emotional connection and sort of way. So for me, it was learning how to learning how to stay present in the moment without in my brain already being 10 steps ahead. Like, okay, well, I also want to make sure I talk about this and I want to talk about this. It was like really being present in the moment and thinking about what they were saying and what that meant to me and what I could say back, rather than like having a checklist of, okay, I have to ask them 5 questions. It needs to be like this, 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 and this.
Yeah. And that also probably just comes from like, if you're interviewing someone that you may look up to or you did when you were younger, you also want to like walk away from that conversation and feel like, wow, like I was there. Like I remember portions of it, not like I've been plenty of times on a podcast and like I know I have to fix something and then I just like, what did that person say? Like,
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you don't feel like you're there, or you leave the conversation and you're like, and I wish I could have, soaked that in more. I wish I could have just, sat in that. So who were some of the big names that you interviewed or really enjoyed? Like, let's start with number 1. Who were some of the biggest names you interviewed? Let's give like a top 3. And then I will go into another list of questions.
Okay, this was a long time ago, so like I don't want to. These were people. No, I mean it was amazing. I definitely thought it was really cool. I mean, top 3, it would be hard to say. I was able to interview a lot of the like Victoria's Secret angels. Heidi Klum, Alessandra Ambrosio, Miranda Kerr. I mean, that's 3 right there. They were all beautiful and super nice. lot of musicians. So Diddy, Lenny Kravitz. I will say that, I mean, I got to interview all sorts of people, right? Not just like
Yeah.
celebrities that came to Miami, lots of really incredible authors and chefs and entrepreneurs, business owners, people that, you know, like are in all different kinds of industries. And what was interesting is, and this is something that probably seems somewhat common knowledge, it's like, I found a lot of times like the bigger the star or like the bigger their name, the nicer and more humble they actually were. Whereas, you know, I interviewed like reality TV stars when they would come to Miami and they were like very rude or they could be
Yeah.
like a little bit more pushy. And I would think like I literally just interviewed a Grammy award winner and like they were so nice and chill and like I've not even seen your show. And so it just I think it was, but it also was like very important and was the kind of thing where you see like, wow, it actually makes me respect somebody who's such a luminary and so well known even more when like they could technically be a jerk and instead they're a really nice down to earth person that just doesn't even see themselves like that, sees them like themselves like everyone else.
Who are, if you had to give like one or two people that really surprised you in terms of like how down to earth they were, would you be able to give one or two names?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like Heidi Klum, obviously.
Okay.
Like when I was interviewing her, I was like practically shaking. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my, you know what I mean? Like that was incredible. And trying to think, this is a good question. I haven't thought about these are my golden days. I haven't thought about my golden days
Yeah.
in a while. Honestly, I would say Diddy. He was great. He was super
Really
nice.
awesome.
Yeah, very chill. I mean, he also lived in Miami, so he would be around a lot. And you know, this was in 2008 to 2010,
Mhm.
2011. So this was a while ago. And so like,
Yeah,
you
I
know, it
was
was
like 5 years old,
you were
so.
like barely born and the rest of us were working out of college.
So the family joke at the Harris holidays is now that me and Kaya, Megan's
Are
daughter,
closest in
are the
age.
closest in age. So I'm technically at the kids' table, even though I'm about to have a kid. So
You're still going to be there. You're still going to be there.
it'll just be us three. It'll just be
Great.
us three. So it is what it is. Well, let's dive back into why do you think communications and all those things spoke to you the most? Like I know, you know, your dad, right? So I know Bruce has been in the world of sales for forever and feels like he could sell ketchup to a lady in white gloves, as Amy would say. Do you feel like that played a part in just how you grew up and how you felt comfortable communicating and talking to people and like wanted to go into that, or what brought you to journalism and communications in general?
Oh, absolutely. I would say definitely being raised in a household where everybody talked a lot. We were very open about our thoughts and our feelings, whether that was good or bad. We were a very communicative family. We're not a family that hides things. If we're not happy with you, we'll let you know pretty much in the moment, and then we'll kind of just resolve it and move on. So I definitely have a gregarious personality, probably just from seeing my parents and seeing how they were with people, even when we were out, you know, speaking to, you know, somebody in a checkout line or saying hi to somebody sitting next to them at a, you know, on the airplane or at a restaurant. Definitely that. And honestly, I always kind of knew I wanted to work in television. I loved reading and writing. I did a lot of theater and acting growing up. So it was the place that I felt most comfortable. And I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I was fortunate enough to go to Florida State University. It has an awesome school of communications. So I kind of, it just sort of felt like that was what I was meant to do. But I will say that the opportunity that I had could have gone in a very different direction had it not been for, you know, taking a chance on something on a Craigslist, you know, job
Yeah.
posting, because I was very lucky. Like I don't say that it was all because of, oh, I was so smart and top of my class and did this and that. Like a lot of it was just like the right place at the right time and feeling like, wow, this was an amazing opportunity, which was a lesson that I had to learn later when finding jobs and being happy in a career and kind of doing that sort of reverse. Like I didn't do soul searching to then find a great career. I had a really great first job out of college and then kind of after that had to sort of do some soul searching and figure out what else I wanted to do when that was over. So I had to like reverse engineer it.
That makes sense. That's interesting how you put that. I like that. So obviously your experiences finding that career, you got to see the lowest of the low in Miami, right? You got to see a lot. And then at the same time, you're in this melting pot of cultures. So did that, like, if you look back now, does that play a big factor in like, oh, I need to do some soul searching, like you having that realization? Because I would feel like I definitely know moving down here just like broadened my horizons so much. Like I grew up in the Northeast, and I grew up in a diverse area, and I was a minority in a lot of ways going to school and stuff. But then coming down here, it's a different world, right? There's a small little nugget of melting pot, and that's where I was. And then there's South Florida, and it's two different worlds. So did that soul searching, just that realization, come from anything in specific, or were you just like, I'm here, but like, is this everything that I have to offer? Because I've seen so much. So how did that play out? I'm kind of interested. I don't know if you have any insight on that or not,
Yeah.
but
No, I mean,
what do you think?
I love living in a place that is so diverse, and that is based on not just like, like someone's ethnicity, but also like different socioeconomic statuses, different age ranges, different kinds of people in general. I think that for me personally, and the kind of life I want and like the family that I want to raise, we're very open-minded. So I love being somewhere that is, got so much going on, a melting pot, both people and activities and opportunity. Like I do feel as
Mhm.
though I'm fortunate to have been in a place like that and continue to be in a place like this. But for me, it was really a matter of the soul searching. I feel like came from, I really always wanted to feel proud of what I was doing and feel like I really enjoyed what I was doing and that I was adding value to a job. And even though it's silly and say like, oh, I worked in TV, or I sell things on TV, like a lot of us like watch television or, social media, like as an escape. It's like, oh, I'm exhausted, I'm just going to turn my mind off and I'm going to watch TV. I'm going to listen to a podcast in the background while I'm exercising. I like the idea of like being a part of someone's entertainment or someone's relaxation. And so that to me was like adding value. So then when I was thinking about other jobs that I wanted to do, I thought like, what could I do that would really feel like impactful for people, that they would really appreciate the results that I would get them, or the work that I could do, and also stay within all of the skills that I have. Like I'm not really, I don't think very analytically. I'm not incredible on a computer. I know how to talk to people. I know how to sell, and I know how to interview and ask questions and write stuff. So that was really what kind of jobs could I do within that sort of skill set that I would still feel like, oh, it was fun, I enjoyed what I did. And so that's kind of, I worked at a sales office for an ad agency. I worked at an e-commerce company and did some stuff on television for them. And then a few years ago was when I got into public relations, which I never thought that I would be a part of. I took one public relations class in college, and that was that. And now here I am all these years later, and I full-time now work as a co-owner of a public relations agency. So it's like I went
Okay.
like this to now
You
get back
literally
here.
snaked. Yeah, you literally snaked all the way through. So let's talk about the tropical agency. So in terms of PR and what you're doing, what kind of companies do you seek out? Or actually, let's just start from the beginning. What made the tropical agency come to life?
So this is great because the tropical agency came to life because I met a girl, my business partner and one of my closest friends, Stacy, at a PR agency. We became friends just being colleagues somewhere else, and we became very close. And we kind of got this idea of, it was really her idea of, what if we went off and did it on our own? And I was very risk averse to that. I've always been very comfortable with structure and knowing my jobs and my salary and what I'm doing and my success and all of that. Like I like something that's more of a straight line. Even though I've gone like this, I've always sought out the straight line.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really not into it. I didn't know. And she's very brave. And she was like, why not? What's the worst that could happen? And I'm like, well, I'll tell you a million things that are bad that could happen. And she's the person that believes the good things that could happen. And my husband's similar to that. And I'm just not like that. And I guess that's why I appreciated it so much, is because if I had met someone just like me, I wouldn't be here talking to you about it. But because I met someone that said, like, you don't have to jump off a cliff by yourself, we can do it together. And like, what if like it's not a cliff, like what if there's this amazing opportunity? What if we can keep flying on? And so we did. And I was definitely really nervous, and it was scary, and it was the best thing ever. And I literally tell her all the time, when it's good times and bad times, like, I'm so lucky that we met and became friends, and that you forced me to quit my job, because it was the best thing that we ever did.
So how long have you guys been doing it now?
So we have been working as the tropical agency since September of 2019. So a little over 3 years now.
Literally right before the world shut down.
Insane. Like we started a company, and then 6 months into it, the whole world shuts down. We have to leave our office. We had rented an office in a WeWork, and we couldn't go back to that anymore. We had clients. We were working with hospitality clients that all of a sudden, like, it was a few fitness centers and some restaurants and stuff that we worked with. Everybody had to close their doors. So it was like, all of a sudden, all of our clients that we had worked so hard to build up and get and just sign contracts with, and the ball's like slowly rolling. It's like everybody had to just stop. And we let our clients, we allowed our clients to cancel contracts and things like that, which was something that it did come back to really like be a benefit to us, because the most important thing, again, going back to adding value, was that we didn't want, when it was so uncertain, the world and business, and everybody's worried about stuff professionally and personally, we didn't want to be a PR agency that was like charging our client for work, and like they weren't sure they were going to stay in business. So we, like, 6 months after starting, kind of just said, okay, let's start all over again and figure it out. And it ended up being the best thing we could have done, because we met a client who we did a project with her and a company that she had, and she introduced us to her brother, who was a co-founder, who was founding a startup in CPG, so consumer packaged goods. He was starting a new, like a snack product. And she said, hey, my brother's got this awesome company. Like, he's looking for PR. We met him. We were doing everything virtually. We met him on a Zoom, and we started working with him. And he was really like, it started a snowball of, we had a great relationship and success with him, that now 3 years later, we are working with all early and mid-stage startups, a lot of CPGs, but all different sorts of products, fashion, food, beverage, anything kind of lifestyle and wellness. That's really our niche. I mean, it's been incredible.
That's awesome. Love that. And Amy is very much the same way as you. Like, obviously I have this, and basically am self-employed for the most part. And she has that, like, rightfully so. She did her own thing that was so unstable for a long time too. And now she's gotten to a place where she has that. So she's definitely like, oh gosh, like, I'm going to start a family with this guy, and he's doesn't have like a set income. No one's saying income.
Yes, it's scary. It's scary to think about that. But as you know, and as I learned, and this could be for anybody listening who is someone that was like me and super risk averse, it was scary, yeah, for sure. But all I ever did was always think about, like, oh, what if it doesn't work out? What am I going to do? And I never contemplated, what if it actually does work out? Yeah. What if it's like a great thing that happens? And I allowed fear to stand in the way of a lot of things. And I met someone who was like, let's be brave together, because she wasn't afraid. And it was great. And so it's like, if I could say anything, if I could even go back to myself 5-10 years ago, it would be like, don't focus so much on what could go wrong. Something can go wrong at any time in anything. That's just life, right? Mm-hmm. But things tend to work out more than we think they will. And once you kind of had a taste of that, it's like, wow, okay, I see now why people like you are entrepreneurs and hustlers and doing their own thing. I mean, at this point, I'm totally unemployable because I could never go back to working for someone again. Like, this is it. It has to work.
You can't sign me up for 9 to 5.
No, I'm not going to be able to get
No,
another
I
job.
get it. I'm the same way. I didn't even work. Yeah, I didn't even work in regular jobs, and I'm
Yeah,
still
I
like,
don't
no,
have a
that's
resume. I don't have a resume. I cannot work for anyone else.
I literally don't have a resume. No, it's interesting. So what exactly, obviously you're co-founder, co-owner. So what are more of your responsibilities for the Tropical Agency? Are you seeking out the talent and the possible startup companies, or are you more so once they're in the door that you're managing the relationship?
So yeah, no, that makes sense. So how we structure it at our company is, and we have an amazing full-time employee. Our account director, Christia, is awesome, and we work with some freelancers and stuff. Like, we'll bring different people in, but we really structure it. It's kind of funny being in with my business partner, because we are so different. And I think that's why it works. A lot of times people would say, like, don't go into business with a friend, or don't go into business with like a spouse or a family member. I think because we are so different, there's this sort of like natural division of responsibilities. My partner is incredible at our work. She is so talented. She's very results driven. Like, we have clients, like, if there's a challenge and we need, to get a client win, like, we can always count on her. Like, she's really, really good. I kind of always joke that, like, I'm good at like having a business, and she's good at actually making a business be successful because of her results. But I would say that for the most part, we do tend to split a lot of the responsibilities. She handles more of like the operations stuff with
Gotcha.
contracts and billing. She does, like, if there we joke that she's the IT person, like, which means she's just better at like Googling something, but she does think more analytically, so she's very good at that. I do a lot of the writing and the proofreading and the copy editing and stuff for our clients.
Cool. So are you, from that perspective, you are telling them what they need? Basically, are you doing an analysis of what their marketing scheme looks like and then like revamping it, or are you more on the receiving end of what they want and this is how we're going to do it?
It is a bit of both. I would say that really what we do is we have companies, whether they're startups, they recently launched or they haven't even launched yet, they'll come to us and they'll say, we need brand awareness. We need people to buy our products. We need people to go to Amazon and buy our product there, or go to our website. We want people to know that we just launched a new flavor of our drink, or that we've got a new skincare product coming out, or a new handbag collection. So people will come to us and say, like, how can you get us in front of our target audience? And with public relations, we focus on brand awareness and organic. So we do a lot of media relations, meaning that we email journalists and writers and we say, hey, I know that you're the accessories editor of Vogue. I just started working with this amazing handbag company. The next time you're writing a story about laptop bags, here's 5 different options that this company has. Let me know if you want more information. So it's very much where we pitch our clients to media. And media are when let's say you're going to buy a gift for my sister, and maybe you Google, like, 10 best gifts for my girlfriend for Christmas, or, 5 new sneakers for girls that go to the gym, whatever. And you see these articles, there are products that you see in these articles. There are PR people behind those products working with the writer to cover their products and review it. So we really consider ourselves salespeople. So we're really like the front line of getting a product into media's hands to write about it and review it, so that consumers read about it and then are saying, hey, that does sound like an amazing handbag or shoe or, soft drink. I would love to learn more about it. I'd love to buy it. And then that's kind of how it works in public relations. I mean, so much of what we see out there is because there's good PR and marketing behind it.
That makes sense. So if, we translated it to fitness or something, it might be like 10 best pieces of fitness equipment for your home gym. And
Exactly.
you would be, maybe reaching out to Men's Health and
It's exactly what I would do. It's exactly what
gotcha.
we would do. And that's what's so fun about it is like you get to be really creative and we get to
Mhm.
come up with different themes and different topics, because we work with startups, we work with a lot of young people, a lot of creative people who are
Mhm.
scrappy and they're flexible and they've got an amazing product or brand and they're focused on creating that and making it the absolute best version. Then
Yeah.
they don't know how to get it in front of everyone. Just like I couldn't invent what they do, they don't have the skill set necessarily, or it's very time consuming. It's a full-time
Mhm.
job, as you know. So yes, like we do work with a lot of like fitness editors because we have a lot of health and wellness products. So, when you see like 10 snacks to pack on your next road trip, all of those snack products likely have PR teams behind them that sent the journalist a sample of the product. The journalist either liked it or didn't like it, and then wrote a review and included them in their next story.
So would you be writing the actual content that might go into like a one-page magazine write-up, or is that something that the company itself created the product is writing, or is it something that the actual reporter or the person that's on the magazine side is writing? Which of the three writes the actual content?
It depends. It varies. Sometimes companies will come to us and say, like, hey, we're ready to go. Here's some information about the product. And then we put it into our own language that we would then
Got it.
send to a journalist. Then they would read it and they would write about it, in their own language. So,
Mhm.
but then other times we work with a client right now and we're totally revamping like all of their brand copy and everything that's going to be used in their marketing materials and website because they're starting at a different level. So it really depends, but we consider ourselves salespeople for products and for brands, we're storytellers. You're telling me about your brand, and then I'm going to be your messenger out
Yeah.
into the world to share that with people and to say it in a way that's going to make them want to learn more.
What percentage of your business and your income is referral based, and what percentage of it are you seeking? Like, are you going to actually find these products and maybe suggest that
That's
they need
that's
PR
a
help?
great question. Yeah, that's a great question. We would be nothing without referrals. I mean,
Yeah, it's the
it's
best thing
as
ever,
you
but
know, in your business too, somebody likes you and then they talk about you to other people. And the next time somebody needs you, they're going to think of you or they're going to reach out to that friend. Much like what you do, Dylan, we always say, like, we're a luxury service, right? Like,
Mhm.
you need it. Not if you're
Yeah,
a business, right? Not everybody can afford it, and that's okay. And you can hack it on your own. But just like if somebody starts exercising with a trainer, it's like, holy cow, now my fitness, my nutrition, everything is on another level because I have a professional that's doing it with me. It's similar with outsourcing PR and marketing. So I would say that a lot of what we have currently, I would say about 50 to 60% is probably clients that have been with us almost from the beginning, or at least, the past year and a half to 2 years, and we're only 3 years old. And we also invest in digital marketing. It's another thing, even PR agencies do, is we have to do PR and marketing for ourselves.
yeah,
So yeah, you have to. You have to. How's anybody going to know about
yeah.
you? So we do digital marketing and Google ads. We actually hire someone to do it because we can't. We're not the experts in that. So we work with someone that does that, and that's been amazing too.
That's awesome. So it goes to show, and everybody can come up with it, but somebody's got to be the one that shares it, right? I'm a firm believer though that you if you can get in front of the person, right? Like if I can talk to a future client or a potential client, I know that I can close that better than anybody else could tell them about my services or what I do or show them. But it's interesting because on a larger scale, you have to get in front of that person in the first place. And if you want to make money while you sleep, which is the goal for everybody, right? Especially as an entrepreneur, like you don't want to just continue to trade your time for money. Otherwise, you don't have a life, you don't have a family, or at least you don't get to spend time with them. So on a bigger scale, the goal is to get yourself in front of multiple people, or, you know, multiple potential customers, or have a product that's, you know, basically being talked about, you know, in a different state while you're having another conversation, and there's, you know, different things going on all at the same time, and you don't have to be there at the same time. So I mean, it's awesome what you do, because with a lot of it, you know, it doesn't matter what you know, it matters and how many people you can influence with that. So it's awesome that you have the ability, especially the groups and the products that you work with have a lot to do with health, wellness, fitness, nutrition. So you are in a sense like making the world a better place, right? You're recommending and making sure that people who are looking for healthy snacks on a road trip are getting that, or at least have a source of reliable, you know, snacks when they go, right?
Yeah,
What are some of your
I like to think about it like that. That's nice.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, you said earlier, right? You wanted to make a difference. You wanted to feel like your job and what you were doing has a positive repercussion on, you know, the people around you or the people you're working with. It's fulfilling, and you're proud of it, clearly, right? You're like, I'm never getting a job again.
No, I
So,
can't.
what are yeah, yeah. So, what are some of the your favorite product that you work with, if you're able to divulge that information? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll talk about anything. I will say that it's much like picking, you know, like a favorite child or something, which apparently you can't do.
Yeah, you can't.
It's hard to say. I
You
will
only have
say that,
one, so
right.
you're
Yeah,
good.
I only have one, so I can tell you my favorite child. I will say, and I'm not just, this is truth. You know, with Stacy and I, when we started our company, the biggest thing that we wanted, like the biggest thing was, we just wanted to work with people that we would enjoy working with.
Mm,
Because, you know, it's hard, like every job, it can be really hard, like any sort of contracted worker, outsourced agency, you know, you're the first ones to go. I mean, that's what we saw with COVID, right when we started our company and stuff. You know, we were the first people that get expended. Um, so we always thought that, like, at the end of the day, if we worked with people that we genuinely liked and would be friends with and thought that they had a cool product, then like that would be enough for us. So I will say that it's been great getting to work with so many founders and so many people, because you see that there's just so many ideas out there. And for me, being someone that was so risk averse, to now have a career where I work with people that like are dumping life savings into what they do. They, you know, live in a house with 6 7 roommates because, you know, all their money is going to this. They're doing their side, you know, their side hustle is their business, and then they've got a regular 9 to 5. Like, these people that are just doing anything they can to like have a dream and make their vision a reality and create their own company. And it's so inspiring to me, because I was so afraid to do this. And now it's like I work with people
mhm.
that are doing it, and I'm their hype person. Like, hell yeah, we're going to crush
Yeah,
it. Like,
it's
you
24
made the right
7.
decision quitting your job and go and putting your entire savings into this company, and we're going to blow it up for you. Like, we're going to do that. And like, I was so afraid of that for so long. And then like I met a hype person that was like, no, let's do it. So for me, it's like, it's not even a favorite client or brand. I mean, I love when we get to work on food, because I'm a foodie. I'm very into health and wellness. So I love like healthy snacks and healthy alternatives for stuff. Like, that's obviously something I'm really into, because you can just try a lot of fun different brands and stuff that
Mhm.
way. But more than that, it's just like, my favorite thing about the clients and the people that we work with is that everyone is so brave and is really like putting their whole heart out there into pursuing their dream. And now that I can see how, if you're just brave enough to take that first step and do it, how rewarding it can be. I like love that I'm around all of these people that are doing it. It's like, oh my God, like I'm now with the people, like all these brave people that like are kind of like who Stacy was to me and motivated me.
Yeah, and then it's invigorating. I know
Yeah.
that I know a big part of why I love to do the podcast is I get to talk to people who are like out there just crushing whatever they're doing. And everyone that I've ever had on can tell you, like, for the most part, will go through a portion of the podcast where like they were in that situation. Like last guy was sleeping on an air mattress in a college dorm room, like just trying to finish his last couple semesters of college, working all the time, going to school, sleeping on his friend's floor on an air mattress. And then like now he's got two different businesses, and it's like, everyone has gone through something, has transitioned, has gotten laid off, and then just gotten back up and like kept the ball rolling. And every time you hear about somebody actually going through that process and then getting to where they are now, everyone just sees where you are now, right? And I
Yep.
think that's the biggest portion of what you're feeling is like you get to see the whole process. You get to see someone who comes to you and is like, I have this idea and I have no idea what to do with it. I don't know how to tell people, like, can you help me? And then you see them probably in 8 to 12 months and you're like, here we are. Like you just made your first, $10,000 in sales, and you experienced that, right? Like you got that. I can imagine
Yeah.
when you
Oh
got
my
that
God.
first contract.
We were like, oh my God, like,
Yeah, yeah.
wow, like this is it. And that's the thing is, and it just takes one. And there are still times now. I mean, we're a startup. So we're
Mhm.
very young. We're as young, sometimes younger than some of the clients that we work with. And
Yeah.
so we're still very much in startup mode. And we have times, where times of the year, it's hard for everyone where it feels scary. And then like the doubt starts to creep back in. And it's like, oh
Yeah.
my God, did I do the right thing? Like,
Yeah.
what's going to happen now? When Stacy and I went back to the agency that we had worked at that we quit, we left on very good terms with them. We went back to the founder of the agency, and we just really look up to him. And he's so smart and very successful. And we had met with him, and he was very excited. We were giving kind of like I think we had been gone a few months, and we like touched base with him. And he, like drew. We went in his office and he was like drawing on his like whiteboard. And he's like, this is what everybody thinks it's gonna be. And he draws a straight line. And he's like, and this is what it's gonna be. And he's like squiggling everywhere. And it's so true. And so it's like, we're just riding a roller coaster just like everyone else. And as time
Mhm.
goes on, you kind of with experience tend to learn like, okay, the whole world is not going to fall apart today. You're going to be fine. And that sort of
Yeah.
challenge also drives me to keep working. So it's kind of like that fear that I'm over. I still do let it fuel me a little bit of like, okay, I have to keep this moving because I can't, I'm unemployable. I cannot go back to another job.
I refuse to not make this work. I honestly say that to myself all the time though. Like I refuse to not make this work. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you have
find a
to.
way. I'm gonna make sure. And just because you're younger than some of the companies, all right, age doesn't matter, all right. So the idea of not having an understanding of what's next and like how you're going to make it through the maybe June and July and August are probably like slower months for you, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So just like they are for me, where everybody in Boca's in Italy. So like
I think everybody in the world was in Italy this year. Okay. It was like all of
yeah.
Instagram. And now we have to watch the White Lotus and everybody's in Italy there. It's like enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm done with it. But yeah, when you have those slower months, the creep of doubt like slowly presents itself. And when you're in those times, do you reflect on the past and like how you've gotten over those hurdles? Do you envision the future and like yourself getting over that hurdle or like what's to come? How do you deal with that? Because I know everyone has a different kind of like, way to get over that. And I'm still learning mine as my business is growing and getting bigger and better in some ways, and then in other ways it's like I don't even know what to do with this. Like how do you get over that creep of doubt? What works for you?
So it's funny. I actually was just talking on a grander scale than this. I was talking to my therapist about this the other day. Shout out to everybody that's in therapy. I think it's amazing. I was talking to my therapist about this and like, having anxiety or having like an intrusive thought, like what you're saying, like the creep of doubt or like what's going to happen. And typically what I always do is I always try and replace things with logic, right? Like I'll say, okay, I'll look back and say, all right, summer was slower last year. Summer is
Yeah.
slower everywhere. All of Instagram is on Italy. Like it's fine. You remember when last year in the Q4 things were super busy and you were like, oh my God, I need it to slow down. So I try to do that. But I just learned this really cool
Yeah.
tool, or for me, what I'm going to be using. And my therapist said, okay, you can allow yourself
Nice.
you can allow yourself 15 seconds of negative talk and negative thoughts. And then
Mhm.
you have to do immediately following 75 seconds of positive talk and positive thoughts and affirmations. So it's like, I don't want to just act like the negative stuff isn't there or that it's not at all possible, but I
Yeah.
need to like times 5 replace that after with the same sort of positive thoughts. And so I've been doing that. And what's funny enough is 75 seconds feels like forever. So by the time we're like halfway through that, I'm focused on the timer so much. I'm not thinking positive or negative. So it worked.
Yeah.
I'm healed.
No, that's actually a great trick. I like that one. Um, and on that same topic, you said you like health and wellness. Do you immediately notice a difference when you aren't necessarily eating well, or maybe you're just sleeping well, or you didn't work out that day, you didn't go to Legree, or you didn't go to what else, what's the other one you do?
I go to Boonda.
Forget. Yeah. Okay. There you go. So what factors do exercise, nutrition, and sleep play for you in terms of, because like it's easy to like go to a 9 to 5 job sometimes, and if you're just sitting at a desk, you're just like, yeah, whatever, and you just like you get through the day. I'm getting paid regardless. But like as a business owner, you have to show up and you have to be the best, and like you want to show up and be the best person you can be for your clients or like for yourself, right? So how does that impact you? Do you notice a difference? Talk on that if you can.
Yeah, of course. I think like a lot of people, I notice immediately, like if I'm not sleeping, and this will be a great thing that you and my sister will learn. I know everybody says, oh, you wait till you have a baby and you're exhausted. But it does get better, obviously.
Yeah.
I would say that I'm definitely sensitive to not having enough sleep, but I do love exercise and I genuinely enjoy working out. I genuinely enjoy the time for myself where I'm not thinking about anything else but, what I'm doing and how hard it is or how much it burns or how tired I am or whatever in the moment. So I love exercise for that. I can definitely feel when I've not exercised for a few days or whatever. I have tried a lot and I've worked really hard to not be upset with myself if I don't make a workout. I used to look at things like taking a walk or like doing an easy yoga class as being like kind of a throwaway. And
Yeah.
now like I try to look more at just being proud, like if I got up from my desk and I took a walk or I stretched or I did something. But I definitely love exercise for just truly like the getting away and kind of getting out of my own head and just focusing on something. And like anyone, I notice almost immediately, like if I'm not eating right, am I tired? Am I not feeling as good? Do I feel sluggish? Do I see it in my skin? And is it impacting my sleep? So of course, like with age, I'm 35 years old. I definitely now, I'm not who I was when I was interviewing celebrities, that I was probably going out all night and then like, eating a falafel pita at 3 a.m. and then like going to work at 7 a.m. And I don't even think I exercised then. Like I've had to keep up with life.
Yeah. It's interesting because I had like a very small stint of that, but that was in college. Like I got over that so quickly. So it didn't impact like, I guess, like day-to-day work life for me. It's never really been, I've never had to endure that. The closest thing I'm thinking it's gonna mess me up is is the baby and like not sleeping at no.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It's a pretty life
Yeah.
altering thing for everyone, you know? So, I mean, it's incredible. But yeah, I mean, you're a completely different person after, but then you will sleep again. I remember in the beginning, a friend from college
Yeah.
commented on one of my like social media posts or something, and I had said something like, "Oh, will I ever sleep again?" And she was like, "Yes, you will.
Yes.
You'll always be tired, but you will sleep again." He was right.
Yeah, turns out she was right. What are your goals for the tropical agency? Are you guys trying to grow? If you had to give like a 2 year or 3 year and then a 5 year goal, where are you trying to go? How are you trying to move forward?
I would say that we're continuing to like polish our services and hone our services. We're a team right now of 3 full-time employees. I would say in the next 18 months, 18 to 24 months, would love to have one more full-time employee, let's say. So that would possibly mean maybe increasing our current client base by maybe, 25 to 30%, getting a few extra clients in there ongoing. 5 years from now, I mean, honestly, we think more about like the bigger brands. I'd love to always want to work with startups, but, start to get our foot in the door more with maybe some more mid-size and large scale established brands, maybe some publicly traded companies. So that's sort of what we're aiming for, like goal wise. Of course, every day and every client we have, we really do celebrate because we are still in startup mode. That's why we love to work with other startup founders and small companies, because it's like we're all in this together and we have the same kind of goals. But
Yeah.
even just in the past, year over year, we're doubling, our client revenue and everything. So we're very fortunate to be able to do what we do, and we try not to take that for granted. I genuinely think every day about how lucky I feel that I get to do something that I really enjoy with
Yeah.
people that I really like, and they're appreciative of the work, and we're appreciative of them taking a chance on us and our business too.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare to be in that situation, like what you do, like the people you do it with, and have potential for growth, which is awesome. So,
Yeah. I
there's
mean,
plenty of
it's not without its hardness. I don't want to
no, no, no,
I don't
no.
want to only paint a rosy picture. It's stressful, it's scary when you have a full-time employee and you have a business, you have people that are counting on you. It's not the kind of thing that like if the world falls apart, oh well, I guess it's just me and Stacy, we'll figure it out again. No, we have employees, we have
Mhm.
people that depend on us. Like I depended on jobs and employees that want to grow. And so it can be very humbling too, because it's like, wow, it's not just like, oh, I have this silly little company. It's like, no, we have a legit business. It's like sometimes I fight the imposter effect of like, wow, I'm really doing this. Like, do I
Yeah.
deserve this? Like, I cannot believe I'm an adult doing this.
Yeah. Like someone's giving me money to
Right. Like,
talk about.
who is,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like, who is actually trusting us? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. No, I've definitely felt that before. I'm like, this person is like, you know, uh really client has done things in the world of business, specifically in beverage distribution and packaging, and he's made an absolute fortune. And he is now uh, a startup. He's the owner of a startup water company, Jovi, which you might have seen.
Mhm.
And sometimes, he comes to me and asks me all the time about like, the science of this, and he's asking me questions about like, what do I think looks best, or like he was asking me like packaging, like what bottle do you think looks better, like, and he's coming to me with questions that like, do I have a lot of weight in my pull? Like, is my opinion going to pull a lot on what they decide? No, but just to think that like sometimes he comes to me with these questions and he wants to put this like new technology in his house that costs like 30 grand or something. What do you think about it? Should I do it? Should I not? And I'm like, mind boggling at first that he's even like, acknowledging my opinion or asking for it or caring what I have to say. So I've definitely been there before. I know that. And that's obviously one example, but it's the same feeling when you get that first big, that first big like contract or check, and you're like, all right, here we go. Like now, the money's here. Now I got to work. Now I have to do something with it. So that's awesome. Is there do you see any way that I can help? Like, obviously I have an understanding of the nutrition world and like the fitness world, and I'm always trying to find something new piece of equipment, a new sort of product that can help with nutrition. And do you see any way that I can help? I mean, in general, just like putting you in front of products or companies or brands or seeking them out, or I don't know. Is there any crossover there? Is there
Yeah,
any?
introduce me to your client that's got this packaging company.
Well,
There you go. No, I
step
appreciate
one.
that. No, I appreciate that. I think more than anything, it's just, I love to connect and meet with other people who are in the same situations and scenarios that you and I are in, that are doing their own thing, that are, having their own businesses and starting families, having families and trying to balance all of that. I think that it's really cool to meet with other people and to chat with other people who have been or who are going through the same thing as us, because sometimes like founder journeys can be, even if you have a partner, it can be very lonely in yourself. The worry, especially if you have a spouse or a partner or family members who don't necessarily do their own thing, and they have more of a straight line. So yeah, I would say just introducing anybody that you can think of. I'm always happy. I love connecting with other people. So anybody that listens to this and wants to reach out, like I would love to chat.
So I definitely have. I'll try to think of some ideas.
I mean, we're gonna be family, so I'm not
Yeah,
super
no,
worried
I
about
know
it.
that, but in the immediate, like things are coming to my head. So we can talk about that after, and like we'll see each other on Saturday, so we can talk more about it. And speaking of Saturday, right, we're going out with the family
That's
and
right.
Kaya. How do you balance and how do you find, it's obviously never perfect, but like what are some things that you've really learned as having an 18 month old and having a business that's like just barely twice the age, right, of her, right? So you have like two babies.
Yeah.
How do you find that balance? How do you work around obviously that's the beauty of having your own business, but um you still have to create structure in your own life. So how do you do that? What have you found helpful?
Well, for me, it's always been whether even before my daughter was born, was just trying as much as possible to stick to like normal working hours and having that kind of structure and having my day, because I do work from home. So there are some
Yeah.
days where like let's say it's a rest day and I'm not exercising or I don't need to run any errands. It's sometimes it's like, wow, I feel like I've never left the house all day. I haven't seen other people other than, my immediate family. So I always try to structure my day. So it's like I don't sleep in. I get up, I sit at the computer starting in the morning at 9:30, just like everybody else who would be working. How those are the hours that I kept when I was at, a big corporate agency working throughout that time. I would say like trying to keep as much of a normal schedule as possible has been helpful for me with balancing. And then also just like realizing that I can't do it all. And there are certain things that are not life saving. And so you can put them to the side if it's your job, but also being okay sometimes with having to prioritize a job over your child. I remind myself that the job that I have and the work that I do makes a living that helps my family and is helpful for my daughter and giving her the life that I want her to have. So, I try not to feel bad. I think there's a lot of guilt and shame, especially for women when we have babies and we go back to work, or there's an expectation sometimes that like the woman won't go back to work and just the man will. And like we have to stay home with the child. And that can be really difficult because I will say it is personally, I give stay-at-home moms a lot of credit. It is incredibly challenging to take care of a child. It is arguably harder to take care of a baby than it is to work most jobs. Now, I have not worked every job, but I will say it can be really challenging. And so it's okay sometimes to have to put work off to take care of your family, but also it's okay to have, ask for help. We have get a babysitter if you're able to afford it, or enlist a family member or a friend that can help watch so you can focus on work and then not feel bad about that. Because at the end of the day, when you have a child, there's this expectation that your entire world revolves around that child, and it does, and it will, but you're also still a human being. And the best way that you can be a good parent and provide a stable life and a good home, I believe, is by also being a happy, well-rounded person. And so if that means for you having a job and keeping up a career and trying to figure out getting in a little bit of exercise every day, then that's just as important as all of the time that you will spend with your child.
Yeah, I love that. That's extremely valid in every way. just don't judge yourself, right? Like sometimes you're gonna have to work, sometimes you might have to miss something, but
and people are more understanding than you realize. I think especially I think we have the benefit of in this post-COVID world where people work from home, and you see all the bloopers on TV with like the BBC newscaster is like at home, and then like his kid walks in the room while he's like on a live television broadcast. It's like people are more understanding that like we're also humans too, and like if there was a positive that came out of the pandemic, and it's hard to find a positive, it would be this kind of like work, personal and professional lives like kind of got blended together, where it's like we aren't just living to work anymore, like that's not what we're doing. And so it's like if you have to have a mix of both, if one thing has to kind of be put lower than the other on a priority list, nothing is forever. And so accepting that and like being okay with it, it doesn't make you a bad employee or a bad parent if in the moment you need to choose. And that's just kind of what you have to do. And any employer that gives you grief about that, like you're probably not at the right job.
Yeah, move on, start your own business.
Exactly. Don't be afraid.
No, I think that's a great point. Well, I always let people at the end kind of ask me any question that they want, anything that comes to their mind or something that they want insight on. So and you can ask me a question, whatever you want. It could pertain to nothing or Amy and I or business, whatever it is.
What do you hope people walk away from when they listen to your podcast episodes? When you pick guests and when you do your freestyles, what is it that you want people to take away after they're done listening to your episodes?
So I think the podcast guests and the freestyles have different goals. The freestyle is definitely more of an insight into Dylan's life, Dylan's thought processes, and usually they're more, sound bites. They're 6 to 12 minute sound bites on a specific topic. So it might just be more like educational. And it might just be more what I'm dealing with. Freestyle one is like scientific. How do I apply this thought process to my life? Like, okay, everyone knows cold therapy helps, cool, but like, how am I going to fit it into my life? Or when traveling, how to stay healthy. Here's 7 to 12 minutes of like practical information that you can apply. Or there's the, hey, I'm a human and like I deal with the same shit that you deal with. So anxiety is something that dealt with about it, so that you don't feel alone on your journey, or like, hey, like Dylan's running his own business and he's doing this and things are getting better, and like but he's not talking about this, right? Because I feel like a lot of people will just spit out the good and not talk about the real stuff, what's going on. So those have kind of two different end goals: practical information that you can apply, and then the idea of everybody is going through the same stuff, and me specifically, because the third version of that is having a conversation with another guest, and that goal is to allow people to realize everyone has a story. Everyone has come from something, has gone through a lot, and has made the most of it. And it's more inspirational, and it's an idea of there's so many different types of people in this world, and everyone has a deck of cards that they're handed, and you have to play those cards. So make the most of it. And that's kind of how I've differentiated. The guest is, we're here to talk about their story, what they go through, how they've made the most of it. The freestyle is for me to talk about my story, what I'm going through in real time. And I'm glad you asked that question, because I don't think anyone else has. So
Well, remember, I interview people.
yeah. Well, that's right. Yeah. So you can give me a grade after this, and you can
No,
tell me
that
how
was
good
great. That was
I
really
am or
good.
not. Well, I meant in terms of interviewing you, how good am
No,
I
this was
from
wonderful.
my
I've really
perspective?
enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed this. It was nice to think about some of the other career things. I think that we're always thinking about like where we're going and what we're going to do next, that like we don't remember, or we tend not to always think about like where we came from, and that's just as important. And so
Yeah.
I've appreciated kind of the walk down memory lane and remembering how much cooler I was in my early 20s compared to what I am now.
You're cool,
So
don't worry.
thanks. I'm
Uh,
depressed now.
well, in it to bring it full circle, what you said about like reflecting, I've had people come on here who have just put their head down and like battled and have accomplished a lot, but them having given themselves the credit. So I've had people, when I start to ask and I start to poke and prod on like what they've come through or gone through, I've had people cry on the show, just like talking about what they've experienced and how they've gotten over it. And I think that's something else that I really seek out. Like, you seek out people who you want to work with as an agency, that like you can talk to and agree with and have, a good time just, building a relationship with. And the same thing with people who I talk to on the podcast. I seek out people who I can tell have, depth to them, and have gone through something that or just created something that has a story behind it, and like they deserve to feel like I got through this. So I've always, I even said last week to you, I think I said, I'll just kind of lead you in that direction.
Mhm.
Just allowing, watch their brain work on like, oh, like I've gone through this, or like this is what I used to do, and like here I am now, and this is how it helped. Watching people through that is fulfilling for me too, because then it pushes me as well. Like, I always leave a conversation after a podcast wanting to like, I just want to go to work. And that usually carries on for about 48 to 72 hours. And then I feel like I need to do another podcast.
Good. That's nice. That's like a
But
recharge.
it is, yeah, exactly. No, it is. And it's always been, it's fun for me on that spectrum too, to just have a deep conversation with people. I don't think it's done enough. I don't think people just sit and talk enough anymore. And we're in a soundbite age, we're in a headline age, so nothing, not that I saw the age before this, but nothing is like nothing is super deep, nothing has any content to it, or context to it, I should say. So I like to just make sure that people can like talk about their story, convey their ideas, and then be able to do so without feeling like it's got to be super quick and perfect, and like there's no human element to it, you know.
Well, I would give you an A. Today was great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. If people wanted to reach out to you, if people wanted to learn more about your agency, and the work you do, or the companies that you work with, where can they find all of those things?
So you can reach out to me on Instagram at Megan Harris TV. And you can also send me an email, Megan at thetropicalagency.com.
Cool. Perfect. Do you guys have a website or no?
Yeah, it's thetropicalagency.com. And definitely check it out because we did a full rebrand and all of that earlier this year. And it was we hired an agency to do it, and it was a really big undertaking, and we're super proud of it. So everybody go check it out, please. See how pretty it is.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. I'm sure everyone got something out of it. I know I definitely learned a little bit more about you, and specifically about what you're doing day to day, which is even cooler. If I'm being completely transparent, PR agency didn't hold like a lot of space in my head. I didn't really know like what to make of like what that looks like.
Sure.
Because I've always just heard like media agency versus PR agency. And I guess it would kind of overlap, but I've never really put, like the time into like look at what it would be doing. So, I definitely learned a lot.
I appreciate your transparency.
Yeah, no, I mean, just being
He's like,
just being
what
real.
do you do?
I knew, we had talked about it, but in terms of like day to day, what you do.
Oh, of course. Sometimes I don't even know.
Yeah. You don't know why people trust you either, right?
No, I don't.
No, awesome. I really appreciate your time. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Everyone who's listening, as always, remember, I am, we are, life is limitless. Until next time, enjoy. Adios.